Hey everybody, welcome back to another 5 Spot
with the Dons of Gaming. And just so you know, which you all already obviously do, we are the most underrated channel on all of YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
With about 19, 20-ish subscribers right now.
That's not so bad, but I mean, yeah.
Aside from the point, okay? We deserve way more credit. And that's how we came up with the idea for today's video. These are 5 games that deserve way more credit than what they have now. And we're going to change that today by talking about these 5 games.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. And I believe Tim won the coin toss, so he's going to go first.
Alright, my number 5, I picked Mirror's Edge. Now you're going to be like, okay, so you guys, like, you know Mirror's Edge 2 is coming out, or maybe some of you don't, because there's not a huge hype wagon on it, right?
I didn't know.
And it's kind of the same with Mirror's Edge 1. Like, alright, when it was first coming out, there was a lot of people who were like, oh, it looks really cool. But then, like, after, it fell off the radar.
Yeah.
But it was a very interesting concept. I mean, it didn't have the high intensity first person shooting that everyone gets.
Yeah, and it was getting really popular at the time.
And it wasn't all about fighting. Hell, there was an achievement for going through the game without fighting people. And
wow.
And like there was another achievement for taking a different path in every like level to get to the end. But there wasn't a lot of talk about it after it came out.
Yeah. And
it was a great game. It's kind of a shame that it fell off so much.
Yeah, because I remember seeing footage of it, and it seemed really exciting and different, really.
Mm-hmm. It really was.
But, I mean...
There's a nice, fresh change of pace.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's really all I got for Mirror's Edge.
Okay, so I'm going to start with my number 5. Really popular game, I think, but then at the same point, I think it really isn't. But that game is Harvest Moon 64. This is a game where there's literally so much to do, and it all pretty much works out in general. It's all good things to do. You know, you can grow crops, you can raise chickens and cows and sheep, you can get married, you can expand your house, and, you know, the goal is to basically do all of this simultaneously. You know, it's such an interesting concept, and generally it's, again, just like Mirror's Edge, it's nice to play a game where the goal isn't necessarily to kill anything.
Yeah. And there were a lot of games kind of like it, like Minecraft and Animal Crossing, that were fairly popular.
It seems like they
took,
yeah, it seems like they took some influence from the Harvest Moon franchise.
And it's kind of like Harvest Moon has like everything from all those games combined in a one for like a really nice flow.
Yeah. The only downside is that I feel like the other Harvest Moon games really aren't that good. I played them; it just didn't seem right.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Really played them.
I don't know what it was. Maybe it was just that I really liked the overhead camera angle.
It can be nice.
Because I think the other games went with a first person, and it just wasn't that good, I think. I mean, it's just opinion based, but you know, this is a game that we should probably put on the channel at some point.
Yeah.
But I mean, what can we do?
You're going to have to play that one.
Oh, go join me.
Harvest Moon puts me to sleep.
Well, we might
I'll
do
be
that
there for the commentary.
Yeah, we might do something later on down the line. But take it away with your number 4.
Alright, my number 4, I picked Fable 3. Right? I mean, y'all know the Fable franchise. And you're probably like, 1, fantastic. 2, not as good. 3, I didn't even play it. Well, you know what? 3 was great. I mean, it was a really good game. The fight mechanics were like really nice. Your weapons leveled up as you leveled up, and they changed when they leveled up. Like, it was really cool. But the thing I think that may have killed it was the ending, and that's why a lot of people don't really talk about it that much.
I mean, I haven't played it. I might have played it. I know I played one of the Fables. Whatever the one starts with, where you're like, your sister or sibling or whatever goes to the castle. And I don't know, this was a long time ago.
I believe that is 2.
I'm not certain. I'm not describing it well.
I believe that's Fable 2. I know what you're talking about.
But I think part of it is that generally when I hear Fable mentioned nowadays, it's typically with people saying about games where the developers wanted to put so much into it and they couldn't deliver on all those.
Right. And so, you know, I see what they're saying about Fable 3 doing that. Like, the ending, it feels like there was so much that they wanted to keep doing with it. But they're like, okay, we're running out of time and money. We kind of just got to force it.
What it was.
But it didn't get as much hype as I feel like it deserved. And
well, maybe it's just that the hype hasn't, you know, sustained very well.
That's also possible.
I mean...
But, I mean, I don't even really remember it, like, coming out very big. It's just like, kind of like, smoothed in there a little bit, and then just
right into the ditch.
But I think it deserved way more than it got.
Is that about all you have to say about your number 4?
Yeah, that's
okay.
my favorite 3.
So my number 4 it's kind of actually humorous because it's sort of similar. My number 4 is Dark Cloud. Now,
I heard of Dark Cloud. Never played it.
I'm gonna say this: I've never beaten it, but the beginning of the game is so interesting. Like, not necessarily the actual like prologue, but like once you actually start playing it, because like your goal is to go into this cave that just like I'm trying to think of the game you might know that did it, but kind of like in No Man's Sky, whenever you went on a planet, it was completely different.
Yeah.
It's like that, except, you go in the dungeon, you pick a floor, you go in, and basically, your goal is to just get the item you need and then go to the next floor.
That's kind of cool.
But the twist is that you're rebuilding the towns as you go through. So, like, you'll go into a cave, you'll open this sphere or orb thing, and, it looks like energy goes in your glove, right?
Yeah.
But now, like, it might be a river. You now put down, 5 pieces of a river.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So it has a building mechanic to it. Again, it's another game I want us to do on this channel, just so I can finally, like, get to the end of the game.
I could see Dark Cloud being something I'd be interested in playing.
But I don't know what happened to the franchise. Well, before I get to that, you were mentioning about upgrading, your swords and everything. Yeah. Well, in the Dark Cloud franchise, what you can do is your swords level up. They get, like, experience. You force them to level up. You equip items to them. They stick with... The benefits stick with it forever, right?
Really?
Well, then, once you do a certain level, because, your weapons can break. Once you do a certain level, you can actually break it down into another attachment thing and equip it to a different weapon. So you can level your original weapon as a dagger up to level 10, and then sphere break it into a really powerful attachment and equip it to another weapon. So that weapon gets really powerful.
That seems like a really good system for upgrading weapons.
It is, because especially if you don't know what you're doing, it really bites you in the butt. So you don't know what's going on. But once you do, you end up with some really powerful weapons. And the bosses, I remember the first boss was pretty epic. I never got to the second boss. But anyway, I think it's odd because with this franchise, like, I've heard about Dark Cloud 1, heard about Dark Cloud 2, but I've never heard about anything after that. And I don't think the franchise is over, because...
Maybe they kind of, like, moved on to something different and didn't continue it as, like, Dark Cloud 3. Maybe they, like, renamed it or, like...
Something. But it's just like the franchise just dropped off. I've never once heard anybody mention it.
I don't hear a lot of people talking about it, like, at all.
Yeah.
But I've seen posters for it. I've seen, like, the cover of the game. And from what you said, it sounds cool.
Yeah, I do think we'll probably end up putting that up at some point. But
I could dig that.
But now you can take it away with your number 3.
Alright, I have my number 3. My number 3 I picked, it's a entirely online multi-person. Right? You're probably like, that doesn't sound great. It's called Hawkin. Now, Hawkin was a mech shooter. Like, you control a mech, like, not like
a Gundam thing?
Not like
a Gundam thing.
Yeah, kind of, except it's more primitive. Like, its legs are kind of like... I mean, they look a little bit like people legs, but they don't really have arms. Some of them do, but, like, the arms are like cannons or like a shotgun. It's cool.
It sounds kind of cool.
You get fuel that you can use to boost or jump and, like, jetpack. You get abilities like your shotgun you can only fire, like, so often. Or say you get this thing, it's called a Point D Vulcan. It's a heavy machine gun, and it takes some time to spin up.
Yeah.
But once you do, you just, like, unload on people, and it, like, tears through them. You can get Hellfire missiles that, like, they lock on, and you fire a barrage, and it, like, seeks them, and it'll, like, go around corners and stuff, but only if, it's done properly.
Right.
But it was a game that, like, there was the smallest bit of hype for when it came, like, when it was about to come out.
I've never even heard of it.
And after it came out, no one cared. But I played it almost religiously.
How long ago was this?
Oh man,
easily
like
servers
6
are
years.
Still...
They are still active.
Wow.
I actually have Hawkin installed on Steam, and I mean it's changed drastically from what it originally was.
Right, but it has to.
Yeah. But it was really good. Like, honestly, there's been a couple games that I've tried doing, like, mech shooters that haven't worked out. Like Armored Core. I don't really like Armored Core. I don't think it's that great. I mean, I played like one Armored Core game, and I'm like, you know what? It's kind of weak. But Hawkin just blew me away. It's really fast paced too, like especially for a mech game. Like it feels so slow, but this isn't like that.
Well, yeah, it sounds like their legs are different.
But worth playing, like definitely. However, you're not going to hear about it too frequently.
Yeah, plus you probably have that downside to where when you play, if you haven't played before, you're going to be thrown in there with people who really know how to play. And
yeah, you'll get thrown in some lobbies with people who know exactly what they're doing, and they're going to wreck you.
Yeah, that's the problem with multiplayer games.
Actually, they may have changed it. I don't know. Like they may have set it so there's like tiers, so you're not playing against like the best. And they have one that like pairs you with random people online, and you fight like waves of enemies now. So like it'll send out like AI at you that scale up in difficulty.
Oh.
So it's
so kind of like Nazi zombies.
A little bit, but it sends boss mechs at you, which are like
attack dogs.
No. They're like 5 times the size of your mech. They hit like a truck. Yeah. You have to like dodge out of there. Oh, and if you take damage, you can hide in a corner and you like drop down into like this pose, and these little dudes pop out and they heal your mech for you, and then you can get back into the combat. It's pretty cool.
Sounds pretty cool.
But you know, that's really all I got about Hawkin. I guess take it away with your number 3.
So my number 3 is this one was hard to actually put on the list. But I feel like nobody ever talks about it. They'll talk about the sequels down the line, and yeah, that's all fine and good. You know, obviously the game did well enough to warrant sequels, but that game is Paper Mario. Now, this is a game that it really takes the Mario formula and kind of spins it on its head and becomes something that you wouldn't think would work.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the Mario franchise in general does really well.
I mean, I thought the Paper Mario idea was kind of cool.
It's very cool. You figure, you know, it's basically an RPG. Instead of, you know, a platformer, it's an RPG. And you get all these cool partners who help you out. They have special abilities that help you in the active world where you're not, you know, in battle.
Right.
You can start battle by, like, jumping on the opponent's head. So you get, like, the first strike on them. I mean, you always technically get the first strike.
Right.
But this way, you know, you're doing damage to them before the fight begins. You know, you have a hammer you can use. This was one of the first RPGs I legitimately remember beating. Because it's quite entertaining, I think.
I've never really played Paper Mario. Or I don't know many people who have.
But I hear a lot of things about the sequels, and I've never played the sequels. I played the original, and the original was just really good. I legitimately don't remember having any issue with the original being, like, not necessarily difficult, but... Now, some games, they start out and they're really slow.
Yeah.
I mean, it is slow, but it's only slow for like 20 minutes maybe. No, and then it kind of picks up, and there's a lot of humor into it.
It's enough to let you get a feel for the game, and then it's like, there you go.
Yeah. Just a very interesting game overall. Don't know why people don't talk about it or really play it anymore. I mean, it's a good game. I mean, that's just my thought. I don't really have that much more to say about it. If you haven't played it, why not?
I guess I gotta give it a try then.
Yeah, you do.
Alright.
I don't know how we'll figure that out, but we'll figure out a way.
So, my number 2. You've heard this guy's name before. He makes a lot of really popular games. Tom Clancy.
Wow.
This game, Splinter Cell Conviction. And you're probably like, Splinter Cell Conviction? Oh, I mean, I know like Rainbow Six and this, that, and the other that he's done, but... Splinter Cell, like, the name for the franchise is really popular. A lot of people, they know Splinter Cell. But then you're like, Splinter Cell Conviction, and they're like, oh, I haven't really played that one. I don't know what it's really about. Well, this is kind of like, you play as a guy who used to be a secret agent, and now he's not so much a secret agent. He's like, I have a family. I'm not going to do this crap anymore. And in this game, I believe people break into your house, and they're trying to kill your family. And you as well, presumably. But
no, they just want your family killed.
But anyway, you kill them, and the whole like concept behind the game is like when you're in the light, everyone in the dark can see you, and you can't really see them because they're in the darkness. The light's messing with your vision. But if you're in the dark, you can see everything, and like it's harder for people to see you. It's like kind of a stealth-based combat, but if you choose not to, you can just gun it out.
Well, that's always cool.
And the object of the game is to like try and stop the whole organization of people that's trying to kill you, which I believe you find out it's someone that you used to work with. But it was a great game. The gameplay mechanics were fantastic. The stealth system was good. I liked the whole, like, if you're in the light, you know, you can't really see anything, but if you're in the dark, you can see everything. Like, it was nice. And it was just another one of those games that kind of fell under the radar.
Yeah, legitimately, I don't think I've ever heard about that installment.
Right?
So.
And a lot of you may not have, but if you haven't played Splinter Cell Conviction, I feel like it's the best Splinter Cell game I've played.
Wow. Because there's a lot of them.
Yeah, there's a lot. But then again, it was also like newer toward the end of the Splinter Cell series, so I don't even know if they still make Splinter Cell games. Maybe they still do. Maybe it's like the midway point now. But that's irrelevant.
I have no idea.
That's all I got for Splinter Cell. Go play it.
Okay, so my number 2 is I think the first real game on the list that, at least from my end, that I don't think like anybody's heard about. So, okay, the game is called Rock Tour Tycoon.
Okay, you're right. I have not heard of that.
Okay, I remember I was in maybe like 5th or 6th grade, and you know how you have those, you know, fundraisers, not really fundraisers, but the Scholastic book things at school? Well, it was at one of those. And I'm like, oh, this seems kind of cool. Because it was around this time that I was finally, you know, getting into rock music. Before then, I wasn't really into music. It was just kind of there. And I was like, well, this seems pretty cool. And my goodness, what a great game this was. Now, I'm going to be honest, okay? I don't think everybody is going to like this game. Okay? Other games on the list, yeah, I think most people are going to like them.
Is it kind of like Railroad Tycoon? Or Roller Coaster Tycoon?
Kind of. Okay? The premise is similar, where you take this group of rock musicians, and you're like, okay, you know, I'm going to choose how they allot their time, which, you know, I like controlling things.
All right, that's kind of cool.
And then, you know, you're sending them on shows, you might be having them write songs, you might be doing all this crap. You know, you watch your fan base grow, you're like, okay, you know, you go to do a show, you might get like 15 new fans for it. Because, you know, when you're small time, you go and play in small venues.
Yeah.
So there's not that many people. You know, you're making money. You're trying to pay everybody. You know, you're like, oh, I should put flyers up for this show. You don't actually, you know, put up flyers. You just click an option. Because it's a computer game. So, you know, you're just kind of clicking on it and you're like, there's flyers. But this game was amazing. I think one of the best parts was when you're there isn't really like an end, considering it's like Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Right.
But there's a point where you're making too much money and there's really no difficulty anymore.
Such thing as too much money.
And that's when the game gets really fun. Because then, like, you might have like 5, 6 albums out. Because, you know, you put your albums out.
Yeah.
You pick the songs that go on the albums, where you name the albums.
You make like a greatest hits.
Well, you can't make a greatest hits.
Oh,
Every once in a while, they'll write a remix to a song. But it's not really
you
greatest
adopt
hits.
on like other rock bands after the one's like really popular?
You can always start a new file.
Oh, okay.
But generally, because the idea is that there's like a small story associated with each band you play as. So it's not necessarily like supposed to go on forever. But there isn't, you know, a cutoff point. I don't think there is. I never got to one. But
it's just like Motley Crue.
Yeah, they should have ended in the 80s. And then they continued playing.
Still here. I don't get it.
There are a lot of bands like that. But regardless, really cool game. I don't think I've ever heard anybody else talk about it.
Me either. I've never heard of that game before.
Yeah, one of the really sad parts of my life is that I have no clue where my copy of the game went. It's just gone. To be fair, you know, I had this, you know, a good decade and a half ago.
Someone heard how much fun you were having playing it, and they just snuck in the middle of the night and took it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's copies available online, but, you know, it just sucks. But, you know, it's one of those games that I don't even think about it sometimes. And then every once in a while I'll think of it and I'll be like, man, that was really fun.
I can see it being fun. I mean, hell, I had a lot of fun playing Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Yeah.
All you do is manage a theme park.
So. Yeah, and I do want to say Roller Coaster Tycoon is one of my honorable mentions.
Is it?
It wasn't on there, but when we started talking, I was like, I'm going to put Roller Coaster Tycoon.
I guess this is an appropriate time to do honorable mentions.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
we just both dropped a number 2.
Okay, so I have Roller Coaster Tycoon Deluxe, I believe it was, as one of my honorable mentions. Really fun franchise. I'm pretty sure just about everybody's played that.
Probably, but
I feel like a lot of people have played it.
Doesn't get a ton of hype, but you mentioned Roller Coaster Tycoon to somebody,
and they're like, know.
"Hey, I played that. I had some fun doing that."
A lot of fun. The sad thing is, you know, because we're all gamers and we're all sadistic little fucks. You know, a lot of the time what we're doing is we're killing people off. We're creating roller coasters.
That does the loop, and it goes up to the end of the track, but there's like, it just cuts off, and you just set the speed, so it just launches them off. It's great. You're like, my park has 40 casualties? Perfect.
That's it? Oh, man.
I mean, I know someone who, they built a nice, fresh gaming computer, right? Like, drop like $1,200 on this thing. Made themselves a nice rig. And the first game they played when they had access to 750 games was Roller Coaster Tycoon. And he played it for days. And I was like,
you, Tim?
No, it wasn't. I was like, what are you doing? I was like, you have access to, like, Max Payne 3. Max Payne 3. And like,
NBA 2K16.
He didn't have access to that. But like The Darkness, he had so many different games. And I'm like, and you chose to play Roller Coaster Tycoon for like a week.
It's a very addicting game. Mm-hmm. It is. I mean,
but the hype?
Non-existent, really.
Yeah.
I don't think people talk about it in general.
I don't even think they make new Roller Coaster Tycoons anymore.
We'd have to look up that online. But I don't know.
No time for that.
Let me, unless you want to go with an honorable mention.
I'll hit one more and you throw in.
Okay.
All right. My honorable mention that I got is a game called Bastion. A lot of you may not have heard of it. I played it on Steam. Bastion is a game that is narrated like a comic book. Like, your character doesn't do the narrations, another character narrates things that you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's like a top-down view, but it's like you know, 3D. You can like aim kind of like how you do in like I'm trying to think of a good game like
what is the genre of this game?
I guess it'd be like an action adventure,
okay,
like role-playing game. But you get all sorts of different weapons and techniques. The object is to save your world from being destroyed by some evil force by collecting all of these things and bringing them to a place called the Bastion, where you like fuse them together and, you know, like eventually just stop whatever it is that's destroying these worlds. But, you know, a lot of people never really heard of Bastion.
Yeah,
I've never played Bastion. Even if you got it like on, let's say, the Humble Bundle store in a pack with like 10 other games, you know, you may have been like, well, I'm not going to play that. And I did the same thing. I had Bastion for like a year and a half.
Wow.
And I finally was like, you know what, I'm going to play it. I didn't spend like $5 on 10 games to not play them all. That's a good deal.
Sounds like it.
I had a blast. Like, I made it like 3/4 of the way through the game within like the first week of having it. I just binged this game. And then my hard drive corrupted. I lost all my save data, and I was upset. But what I played, it was fantastic. And there's not much hype around Bastion.
Yeah, again, never heard of it. So
I feel like it's a good honorable mention. Hit us with yours.
So I have a couple more that, you know, they've just kind of been dropping in while we've been doing the video. So I want to mention Mario Paint.
Mario Paint?
Yes. I don't know if this is a thing other people know about, but there was a Mario game. I'm thinking it might have been for the SNES.
I think I know what you're talking about.
I mean, I don't really remember it, but I remember having so much fun with this, where you're just kind of doing pictures.
You're like, you paint them however you want, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, don't really remember much of it, so I'm not going to stick on this for too long. I also want to talk about another Mario game. Mario Party 5.
Oh, you know what? I was going to throw that in here, but I was like, it was like right before we started doing the video, and I was like, screw it, it's too late.
Have you played Mario Party 5?
I don't think I played Mario Party 5. Wait, do you have Mario Party 5?
Yeah.
Then yes, we played Mario Party 5.
Because I want to do a video where we're playing Mario Party 5. Like, we get a group of 4 people and we actually play it. And just have a good old time playing it.
We can do a drunken Mario Party.
It's a horrible idea, Tim.
It's not. It's a great idea.
It's a horrible
idea. It's a great idea. Every time you get a star, you drink.
You wouldn't drink that much.
You don't know. Anytime you win a
down
mini
your
game,
drink.
anytime you win a mini game, you take a drink. Anytime you get a star, you finish your drink.
Yeah, see, that sounds better.
Mario Party.
But regardless, really fun game. I don't know if the other Mario Parties are this fun. I know it's a popular franchise, relatively, but I think because it's, you know, there's so many iterations of the franchise, basically, that Mario Party 5 kind of slipped in as underrated.
I mean, I normally just knock all Mario Parties into one category.
Yeah.
You'll have as much fun playing, like, Mario Party 2 as you will playing Mario Party, like, 8? What are they on?
I think they're at like 9, 10 now.
Jesus.
Something ridiculous like that. But not only that, not only could you, you know, actually play a Mario Party game, you had mechs you could battle.
What? No
Yeah.
way. What? No.
Yes.
That wasn't a thing, was it?
I'm telling you, man. You'll find out when we do those videos. There was also like volleyball in there. There was like a little tabletop game that's kind of like Mario Party, but kind of different. There was hockey. There was there was some other game mode. Because there was 3 bonus modes. Regardless, overall, really good game. Never hear anybody talking about Mario Party 5. They always talk about the most recent one. And it's hard to look back on a franchise like Mario Party.
Yeah.
Because they're all kind of the same game.
And you hear like, oh, it's just Mario Party. They may have added a couple things, different mini games.
Yeah, basically. So, I mean, I thought it was interesting. Then you mentioned about the multiplayer role-playing game online with the mechs.
Oh, Hawkin, yeah.
And then I started thinking, and I was like, the most underrated game, a game that doesn't even exist anymore. Okay, Pokemon Crater. Man, this game was classic.
Never heard of it. Like
it was an MMORPG Pokemon game.
What?
Yes.
No.
This was back.
Did you play as a Pokemon, or did you play as a trainer?
As a trainer. And you caught Pokemon, and like you would pop up on this map. You know, there'd be all these spots. I think it was Gen 3 graphics, so Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald graphics. And you would have all the other people who are playing in that map, you know, sitting there on their doing their own thing, right? You'd move around, they'd try to catch Pokemon. You know, Pokemon that normally suck. Like I remember Xatu was really good.
That's a psychic bird Pokemon, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was just such a unique spin on it. I don't even think the Pokemon franchise has actually decided to capitalize on this yet.
I mean, I hear a lot of people talk about wanting a Pokemon MMO.
This was
I feel like that would be.
This was back a decade ago, man. I don't know why they stopped doing it, but I know at one point at least the servers were offline because I guess they couldn't afford to keep having it up.
They may have not had enough money for it.
But man, it was insanely fun. You would battle gym leaders. It was just a Pokemon game on the computer with other people. It wasn't so much, you know, you design your team. It was you go out, you catch your Pokemon, you beat gym leaders. It was just great.
Yeah.
And then
that sounds like a fun time.
I think I'm about done with honorable mentions. I'm gonna calm down for a second. So give them your number 1.
All right, my number 1 is a game that maybe a lot of you have heard of and haven't played, or like you. I don't know. It's Psychonauts, and Psychonauts was a game that was made by like one small development company when they first came out, and it was geared towards kids, right? But for some reason, in this game, there was a lot of dark, not necessarily humor, but like things. Okay, you go into people's minds to try and like, you know, learn who they are and like, or like understand what's going on in the world.
Like because the movie Face Off?
No, that's totally different. You just switch faces. But, okay, it's like each mind that you go into is a different world. And someone's trying to, like, sabotage, like, a bunch of stuff. They're getting, like, a bunch of Psychonauts killed.
Yeah.
And you're going into everyone's minds, and when you go into their minds, like, it's got their personality, like, traits displayed through, like collectibles and stuff. Or, like, okay, there was this one guy that you go into his mind. He's, like, a war vet. And when you go into his mind, everything's like a war zone. There's planes flying overhead. There's, like, gunfire, tanks and everything. It's nuts.
That's pretty cool.
And there was this other lady. She's one of like the more powerful Psychonauts. She's part of like a secret team to like help stop evil. And her name's Mila. When you go into her mind, she really likes to party and have fun. And like in her mind, it's just like everything's a disco everywhere, and like you like race and stuff.
Discos,
right? But you get to the end, and like you're like learning about her past, and you find out she had like a house full of kids that she adopted, right? I think she had like 8 adopted children, and
I don't think I like where this is going.
You're not gonna like where this is going. One day she goes out of the house to go grocery shopping.
Yeah.
And the house catches fire, and all the kids inside of it die.
It was the Christmas tree, wasn't it?
No. There's a room hidden that you have to do like the super bounce and just kind of like, you know, blindly like move forward while you're off the screen, and you land on a ledge. And you open a treasure chest, and you go inside of it. And inside of it are 8 caged up spirits that are just like dark and charred, and there's fire everywhere, and they're like, Mila, you let us die. Why did you kill us? Like, man, I instantly left that room. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Like,
that sounds
it was
psycho.
It was so deep. Like,
yeah.
I thought it was an amazing game, and they should have made a sequel, but for some reason it didn't sell as well as it should have, and we're left here with the remains of an amazing game.
Charred remains?
Charred remains of an amazing game that died in a fire. Sad. But it's probably like $5, $10 on Steam. Go buy it, play it. Help him create the new one.
That's a good idea.
But that's all I got for that. Psychonauts. Oh yeah.
Okay, so my number 1 is almost like the antithesis of your number 1. Okay, because my number 1 has like no structure at all.
Really?
Okay.
Is it Minecraft?
No, it's not. Everybody knows Minecraft, man. No, it's RPG Maker.
Oh, okay, yeah.
When we first started this channel, I was trying to get us all on board for doing this, and I think we will sooner or later, just when we have time.
Yeah, just to like kind of...
But this is a game, a franchise that has gone on for a long time, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably like 20 different games in the franchise.
Have RPG Maker on Steam.
Exactly. A lot of different iterations of it, but RPG Maker 1 on the PlayStation was the one I'm more referring to. It's the only one I've actually played. I think we played 2 for a little bit, but 1 was classic. Basically, the goal is to, get this, make an RPG Maker. Get it? Now, this game, I think what it is it's basically the untapped potential to just do whatever you wanted to.
You can make the greatest game you've ever played, or
you can make the worst.
Yeah.
You could have a game where all the characters die. You could make the characters comically weak and force them up against bosses that they can't beat. You had to name the bosses, you had to make items, name the items, make characters, name the characters, build maps, build actually like chunks of area where, you know, you play the game at. You know, it gives you so much freedom to just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I enjoyed so much about it, was because it was basically just a never-ending thing. You know, what do you want to do? You're going to do something, you don't make it good.
And if you make it, and it's good, you can you save it and start a new one?
I believe you can save it to the memory card. You can have as many files as you want. I remember the one thing though was that the save files took up a lot of space once you started getting really far into it.
I believe that. It's saving an entire game.
And it was the PlayStation memory card.
So you ain't got a lot.
Yeah, typically like if you got through for a while, you'd end up having 4 or 5 different blocks being used.
Yeah.
And there weren't that many blocks, like what, 15 on the PlayStation?
Something like that.
Not many at all.
Like Crash Bandicoot's taking up 2, Tekken's probably taking up 3. You know,
yeah.
You ain't got the space.
But it was a game with a lot of potential, and another game that I just never hear anybody talk about. Again, I think the downside to the game was just that because there's no rules or anything, it's hard for it to actually, like, you know, if you're talking about favorite bosses, you know, you can't include anything from RPG Maker.
Yeah, because, I mean, you make the bosses.
Exactly.
And if you're not creative, you're not going to make a fun boss. And, of course, you're not going to rate, like, your own boss really high. You're going to be like, I made this boss, he's okay, I guess.
Yeah. But that was another cool thing, because there was actually 2 discs that came with the game.
Yeah.
And the second disc would actually allow you to, like, create things. Like, legit create things from the ground up.
And then you can just import it into the first one?
Yes.
Cool.
Granted, never done it. I'm not creative, so...
I could see this being something that, like...
It would make a great series on YouTube. It would.
I think so.
With fan interaction.
And then, hell, we could probably just find a way to import the game to the computer and give it to you guys. You try
Theoretically, we could always just save it into another PlayStation memory card.
Mm-hmm.
And then send it out like that.
Yeah, but then you only have 1 copy of it. We put it online, never even play it.
We'd have to work really hard to figure that out. But it's aside from the point. Classic game, nobody ever talks about it. A game that probably would have done a lot better if it was released maybe like 8 years later.
You know what? You're probably right.
If the developers would target YouTube as the demographic, I seriously think this game could explode.
Yeah.
But that's about all I have to say about RPG Maker.
And I guess that's all we have to say about our underrated games.
Oh yeah, 'cause I got to say mine last. That's different. So yeah, if you have some underrated games that we didn't mention, surprise, then comment them in the comment section.
Yeah, we might even play them, put them on the channel, you know?
Exactly. If we seem interested by the idea, sooner or later we're going to have time in our blocks of time in games.
When there's no games coming out and we need stuff.
Yes, and if subscribers want us to play it, we'll play it.
We need games, man. We need games.
But regardless, like the video if you heard us discuss a game that either you played or one that you want to play now. Because, again, a lot of interesting games. I do like that we had no overlap.
Yeah, and...
I think this is the first time we've completely had, like, no overlap.
And there's a couple games that I mentioned that you don't know, that you mentioned that I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's games you guys got that both of us have never heard of.
Exactly.
But try us.